Hello everybody out there in Books and Bites land. We're here for you today at 1 o'clock, like we are every day, to read you a Shel Silverstein poem and a story. Our poem today is going to be called In Her, from Everything on It by Shel Silverstein. And it goes like that. It has a good illustration as well. It goes like this. In her long mink coat and her buckskin pants and her lizard skin boots with the rattlesnake bands and her beaver hat with the raccoon tails, we hear her shouting, "Save the whales!"
What?
You got it? No. In her long mink coat, which is made of a mink, which is an animal, and her buckskin pants, which is made of an animal, and her lizard skin boots and her rattlesnake bands, so animal, with her beaver hat and her raccoon tails, we hear her shouting, "Save the whales!" I don't know. It seems like she only cares about one very specific animal, and the rest of them she wants to wear on her outfit.
It doesn't make sense.
It does. It's
No, it doesn't.
Okay. They're saying
How does it make sense?
because she's used all these are like dead animals that she's wearing.
Yeah.
But then she's like, save the whales. But like, why are the whales more important than the raccoons and lizards and rattlesnakes and mink?
Still doesn't make sense.
It's okay. I'll explain to you later. All right. And then moving on to Grace for President, written by Kelly DiPuccio, and pictures by Liyuan Pham.
They usually have presidents in like high school. That looks like they're in,
You're right.
They look like they're in kindergarten.
It does look like they're young. I don't remember. I haven't read this book in a while. I don't remember how old she actually is. But she's definitely running for class president. Or maybe real president. I don't know. Let's see. Let's find out.
Probably.
Grace for President. Oh, and here's a picture of a bunch of real presidents. And hopefully a future president. I'd vote for her.
I would vote. Well, it really depends on what she does.
All right. One Monday morning in September, Mrs. Barrington rolled out a big poster with all the president's pictures on it. Grace Campbell could not believe her eyes. Where are the girls? Right?
Oh, that.
Do you know that not a single woman has ever been president?
But in real life, I bet a few girls have been president.
No.
Really?
Not any. Yeah.
Well, a girl is voting for president.
Not this time around, but hopefully soon.
Yeah.
This is a very good question, said Mrs. Barrington. The truth is, our country has never had a woman president. No girl has ever been president? Grace asked. No, I'm afraid not, said Mrs. Barrington. What, you think they look alike?
No.
Oh, she's like, what, the what?
No, the picture.
Mm-hmm, I see it.
Her face is in the picture.
In the picture frame. I'll show you the...
What?
Grace sat at her desk and stewed. No girls? Who's ever heard of such a crazy thing? Finally, she raised her hand.
In fact, a million people probably. Probably everyone in the world has heard about that.
It's true. Yes, Grace?
Me.
I've been thinking it over and I'd like to be president. Several students in the class laughed.
Wrong.
Well, I think that's a star-spangled idea, Grace, said Mrs. Barrington. In fact, we have our very own election right here at Woodrow Wilson Elementary. All right, so it's an elementary school. So it's between,
don't have
kindergarten and fifth grade.
What kind of person has fifth grade presidents?
Some places do. We might. I don't know if we do. The snickering in the room stopped. Grace smiled. Would anyone else like to run for president? Mrs. Barrington asked. Nobody raised their hand. Becoming president was going to be easy, Grace thought.
Becoming president has a lot of work.
It does. A lot of responsibility.
And I am not ready to be president.
Well, you can be president of your class. You don't have to be president of the United States just yet.
The United States, I would not. I barely even watch the election.
We'll be watching it this time around. The next day, Mrs. Barrington made an announcement. In the name of democracy, I have invited Mr. Waller's class to join our election. Their class has nominated Thomas Cobb to be their presidential candidate. Grace's heart sank. Thomas was the school's spelling champion. His experiments always took the blue ribbon at the science fair, and he was captain of the soccer team.
That doesn't make you none of that stuff would even make you wouldn't even make you a molecule away from being president. You'd need about 17 or maybe 8 or maybe like not. Let me think. 45 years.
Becoming president wasn't going to be so easy after all, Grace thought. I think it's just because he's like very popular. He does a lot of things. A lot of people probably know his name.
Yeah, you'd need about 45 years. That's how long you'd need to be kipping up a pencil and doing writing and math and stuff.
The teachers put all the names of all 50 states and the District of Columbia into a hat. Everyone except for Grace and Thomas got to choose a state. I'm Texas, said Anthony. I'm New Hampshire, said Rose. I'm Michigan, said Robbie. What's the number 17 mean? Well, each state is assigned a number of electoral votes.
Yes.
That's the number that is determined by how many people live in that state, said Mrs. Barrington.
Really?
Each of you will be a representative for your state. Altogether,
5 people live in Mexico?
no, that's just the number of electoral votes they
Oh.
have. Each of you will be a representative of your state. Altogether, our country has 538 electoral votes, Mr. Waller explained. On election day, the candidate who receives 270 electoral votes or more wins the election. Why 270? Asked Rose.
Because you need to be very good at math, and you'd need to know almost everything.
Yeah, and also 270 is more than half of all the electoral votes, said Mr.
Yes.
Waller. Becoming president really wasn't going to be so easy, Grace thought.
You think being president would be like make a bumper sticker and then a lot of people see it and they're like, you're president now. You'd need to create.
Well, let's see what happens
You'd
in the
need
story.
to create 1,100 million to be exact.
Okay, let's read the story.
1 million.
Grace came up with the campaign slogan, Make history, vote for Grace Campbell for president. Thomas came up with his own campaign slogan, Vote for Thomas Cobb, the best man for the job. That is pretty good.
And he put an American sign on it.
He did. Grace listened to what the issues were that were important to the students, and she made a list of campaign promises.
I've seen-
And hold on. No, a peaceful school, no bullies. A cleaner school, no littering. Better hot lunches, no more fish stick tacos.
Fish sticks.
I'll probably eat that.
Fish stick
Thomas made
tacos
up his
sounds
own
good.
list of promises. Free tutoring, free soccer lessons, fish stick tacos every week. Grace made campaign posters and buttons too. Thomas made posters and buttons.
I've seen in this movie. I see. Usually, when you actually have presidents, you'd wear this piece of thin really fat cardboard and wear it on both sides.
Oh, yeah. Totally, I know what you mean. Okay, each week the teachers set aside time for the candidates to meet with their constituents, which is the people that they're going to serve, like the kids in their class. Polls were taken, voters were making their choices. Look at all those signs, too.
I would probably root for the guy, even though I know.
Grace continued to campaign. At recess, she gave speeches. During lunch, she handed out free cupcakes. After school, she held rallies.
Rallies.
Rallies is like a big group
I know
of...
what rallies are.
Okay. It's like a big... Here's why I'm going to do a good job. Meanwhile, Thomas wasn't worried. He had cleverly calculated that boys held slightly more electoral votes than girls, and at recess, Thomas studied his spelling words. During lunch, he worked on his latest science experiment, and after school, he played soccer. So he thought he was going to win just because he was a boy. He was like, all the boys will vote for me, so I don't really need to have to try very hard.
Well, but the calculating part is good, but
Yeah.
but the boy
Math
stuff
skills.
is bad.
Even before the election, Grace made good on her promises. She joined the safety squad. She organized the school beautification committee, and she volunteered her time in the school cafeteria. Go.
This is why I would root for the boy. Really, not because girls aren't smart. I know a lot of girls who are very smart.
Yeah, me too.
Smart enough to be president.
Thank you.
It's just the boy is about a quarter, about 1 molecule smarter than me.
I don't think you
A
can tell that
little.
from this book. I'm going to keep reading, though.
I mean, I can, but
In early November, Woodrow Wilson Elementary hosted a special Election Day assembly. Grace and Thomas took their places on stage as the school band began to play. Henry was the first representative to approach the microphone. The Yellowhammer State of Alabama casts its 9 electoral votes for Thomas Cobb, Fletcher said. Fletcher said, the last frontier state of Alaska cast 3 electoral votes for the best man on the job, Thomas Cobb. Hannah called out, the Great Canyon state of Arizona cast its 10 electoral votes for Grace Campbell. And so it went state after state and cast their electoral votes. The scoreboard in the gymnasium kept track of all of the totals.
95, 85, 9,000.
Well, they have to get up to 270, over
Yes.
270. The voting demonstration was quickly coming to an end. Clara approached the podium. The Badger State of Wisconsin cast its 10 votes for my best friend, Grace Campbell. Grace looked at the scoreboard. Thomas had 268 electoral votes. She had 267. There was only one state still unaccounted for.
He had
Wyoming.
Wyoming?
That's the
Is
last
that a
one.
state?
It is.
Oh, that was a country.
It is a state. It's very big, though. Thomas grinned. Grace felt sick. Sam walked up to the microphone. He looked at Thomas. He looked at Grace. He looked down at Grace's handmade flag. Sam didn't say a word. "What are you waiting for?" Thomas whispered. "Go." The band stopped playing. All eyes were on Wyoming. Finally, Sam cleared his throat. The equality state of Wyoming cast its 3 electoral votes for...
My brother, which is not a president, and
Not yet.
doubt he will.
Grace Campbell! The gymnasium erupted in loud cheers and a few boos. Mrs. Barrington approached the podium. With 270 electoral votes, the winner is Grace Campbell. Thomas looked stunned. Grace hugged Sam. "Why did you do it?" she said. Sam handed Grace his flag. "Because," he said, "I thought you were the best person for the job." As it should be.
And it makes
She
more
really
sense.
worked hard. And he was like, "I don't care." The
No,
following
but
week...
he did work hard, too.
Yeah, just
He
not
did
on the
work hard,
election
too.
stuff. You're right.
Yeah.
The following week, the students in Mrs. Barrington's class were preparing their career day presentations. Grace volunteered to go first. She stood in front of the room and glanced at the poster on the wall. The poster still hanging on the wall. "My name is Grace Campbell, and when I grow up, I'm going to be president of the United States." This time, everyone believed that she would.
Here's one thing.
Yeah.
If this was tell me this is a true story.
And there she is.
Tell me this is a true story.
This one? No, not yet. It's okay. So,
I want at least
go vote, everybody.
I want at least one girl to be president. That would be enough.
Me too. All right.
How
Say
did
goodbye
you-
to the people.
How did that circle come there?
Adios,
Bye.
everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
I put it.
Good job.
And now.